So look, if you want to grow your wealth, your income, and increase the amount of time off, then these are the shortcuts that can help. Welcome to the Wealth Creation Podcast. And good morning, everybody. It's Dan Latto. It's 8:20. We're about 20 minutes later than usual, but it gets worse than that. We're actually more than 20 minutes late. We are days late. The last podcast we did was Thursday, and today is Wednesday, the 20th of March. So we took some time out. We had some guests staying over at the villa, a guest, I should say. Good morning, Ryan. So we just took a little bit of time out. Good morning, Carlos. So we just took a little bit of time out just to look after the person staying at the villa. But also, I just needed a little bit of time out. It's been pretty intense for the last couple of months, actually, since we started up this year. It's been very busy with the content, digital marketing, with all the property stuff. We've got new boilers coming out of properties we didn't even know we had. We've got lots of repairs. There's lots of rain going on in the UK. And it was just like, okay, let's just take a little bit of time out and let's just focus on the stuff to get that back up and running, and so the engine can keep on running. And so this is actually one of the things I really wanted to get to in this podcast today. And that's that we hear Gary V, and he's like, oh, you should hustle, man, and you should grind, and you should be working 78 hours a day and all of that kind of thing. And whilst I agree with that to some extent, you're going to burn yourself out. I saw a picture, and it was Gary V being Gary V, and then other people being Gary V, and Gary V being Gary V. He looked as young as he usually did. And then other people being Gary V, they look about 60. They make him look like he's 60. And it's like, for Gary V, that's sustainable, right? That is who he is. It's part of his makeup, his psychological makeup. It's part of his journey. That's what he's done since he was a little kid. He's put in all these hours and headed towards work. Other people, that isn't their psychological makeup. And this is really important because we get clients coming on board, for example, property coaching clients, and they want to do what I've done. But there's a problem there. A fundamental problem is that you aren't me. And I'm not you, by the way. And by the way, this is one of my little bugbears. We should probably do a podcast just on this. But sometimes you get people going, well, if you're so good as a coach, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign up, but I'm not going to pay you anything. No, I'm going to pay you from the profits from the deals that we share. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, that sounds great. So that's like me going to Usain Bolt's coach going, yeah, I'm not going to pay you anything for coaching, but once I win the gold in the Olympics, I'm 46 and I can't run for toffee, but once I win that gold, we'll share it. We'll share that. Who's going to do that? It's crazy. But there's a reason why Usain Bolt is Usain Bolt. It's because he's Usain Bolt. I think I'm pronouncing his name right. There's a reason why Larry Bird, basketball, was Larry Bird, is because he's Larry Bird. In that era, Larry Bird would be playing a completely different game from the 80s to 2019. Completely different game. Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan because he's Michael Jordan. He got cut from his high school basketball team, and if that hadn't have happened, he wouldn't be the Michael Jordan we know of today. That's because that's his journey. You know, I used to emulate Michael Jordan. I'd walk on court. I'd walk like Michael. I'd pretend I was Michael Jordan. I felt confident. I could own the game. I could take over the game. But I still wasn't Michael Jordan. I'm not 6'6" and I can't dunk, right? I'm not got a fall-away jump shot from low post. I can't do that. I'm not Michael Jordan. So what I had to do, this was the learnings that I got, was I had to develop his game and the game that I was emulating into my game. And it's the same on your journey. Like, you can look at Grant Cardone, for example, but Grant Cardone is on his journey. And you might emulate Grant's journey to some extent, but if you try and emulate all of it, it's not going to work. It's going to fail because you've not had the upbringing. You've not lost your father at the age of 9 or 10 whenever Grant lost his dad. You've not had that. You've not had then to cope with the pain of mum having to sell the house because there's not enough money coming in. Those lessons were lifelong lessons that he learned at 10. And there's good lessons in there, by the way, and there's really negative lessons in there. Look how hard Grant works 24/7. They homeschool the kids. They take the kids everywhere. Now, you could say that's actually a really positive thing. But, like, I don't know, in terms of relationships, I don't know. I'm not here to judge, but for me, that's not necessarily how I would want to do it at all. I mean, I'd like Grant's wealth, but I don't want to work like Grant, right? I'd like Gary V's wealth, but I don't want to work like Gary V. Having said that, there are times in your life when you're going to have to step up. You're going to have to step up to the plate, and you're going to have to work your backside off. I was in LA in February, and I flew over on the Thursday, and I was back on the plane on Monday coming home. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 3 days, we were putting in between 16 and 18-hour days, right? I landed. It took me till Thursday or Friday just to know what my name was, right? But for those 3 days, we're working 16 to 18 hours, we put in the work and we got the work done. So what I'm saying here is that you can do it for short bursts of time, but I don't think that you can sustain this level, okay? Now, initially, I should say, you can't sustain this level of work initially, but you can build up to that level of work. So if you want to do 8 hours a day, great. And then build it up to 9 hours a day, do that for a month. And then build it up to 10 hours a day, do that for a month. Like by the time you get to 12 months, which is no time at all, right? But by the time you get to 12 months, you'll be doing 14, 15 hours. And now you've built up enough discipline, enough, what's the word, where you're able just to keep on going. Can't remember the word. What is that word? Stamina. Thank you very much. Unconscious mind. Stamina. It takes a while to build up that stamina. But as entrepreneurs, you know, we've got a lot of Achilles heels, by the way. One of our Achilles heels is, oh, look, a butterfly. Wow, attention span. Oh, look, a glittery, shiny thing. Oh, a business. I can create that in my spare time. That's one of our downsides. And we're constantly creating, we constantly have ideas. And ideas aren't worth anything. It's execution that's really worth it. But if you're just working all day and you've not got an ability to pop your head up once in a while and see what's going on, just to quote Ferris Bueller, you're going to miss it, right? You've got to pop your head up and go, oh my gosh, I've been working on this thing and actually I need to adapt it because the world has moved on. If you're still doing the same thing 30 years ago that you're trying to get off the ground today, it's not working. The world is a different place. Like Facebook marketing right now, as of yesterday, has fundamentally shifted. And I think this is why Facebook's gone down over the last couple of days, actually. But it's shifted because you're no longer able to discriminate based on gender, age, and I think location. As though that's somehow discriminating. By the way, when an advertiser chooses to advertise on Channel 4 late night, that's discriminating against 13-year-olds who are fast asleep in bed. That's still discrimination. It's discrimination, as they call it. I hate that word. Because actually, maybe it's not discrimination. It's like with local housing authority tenants. I don't rent to them. I don't rent to them because the amount of damages that increases is significant. The amount of time spent having to deal with their crap increases. Morning, Julie. And the amount of time that they don't pay increases significantly. 62% are late on their universal credit, are in arrears on universal credit. It's like, why would we take them? Zoopla have just announced that you're no longer allowed to say no DSS. That's fine. We'll just qualify them out on the phone call, but it's a wasted phone call for all of us now. Good morning, Julie. So I hate this word discrimination. There's a reason why you might not want to take on a particular type of tenant. It's because you're in this job to put food on the table for you and your family and to live the life that you want to live. You're not there as a social worker to help tenants, right? But other people class that as discrimination. I don't want to. I mean, by the way, certain job types I also don't rent to. If you work for Leeds City Council, you can get the fuck out of here because you ain't getting anything from me. So that's one of them. I don't care who you are, what you do. If you work for Leeds City Council, you ain't getting a job. You ain't getting a property of mine. There are other people in the legal profession that we don't rent to as well. Have you ever rented to let me rephrase the question. Have you ever fallen out with a copper? Try it. See how that goes. See how well that works out for you. So for certain people that we don't rent to, oh, it's discrimination. I don't give a shit. That's okay. But with Facebook, you're no longer allowed to target men between the ages of 25 and 35. Even though, or let's use an easier one. No, let's stick with men. I'm trying to think of something that men would use and women wouldn't who are between the ages. Let's say you're advertising Call of Duty between the ages of 18 and 25, right? Well, men would more than likely play that game more than women. That's not to say women don't play that game. They do, but proportionally. Anyway, Facebook are stopping you discriminating based on gender, based on age, based on location. And that's totally going to change some of stuff. Let me just see. Julie's saying, absolutely spot on. I used to manage hundreds of DSS. Complete nightmare. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I mean, I owned a lettings agency for 10 years, and we rented out thousands of properties during that time. And the amount of increase in administration, it means you have to recruit more staff, which means there's less income. It's just a nightmare. But actually, the government's to blame for this, because when direct payments to landlord was the de facto standard, it was much easier. I could cope with damages in a property and smash windows as long as I got the rent. Now we don't even get the rent, and then you don't get the rent, you can't get them out for 3 to 5 months, and then we go to shelter, and then shelter come back and say, oh, well, you're on a technicality and you can't get rid of them. So it's like, okay, how about you fuck off and we don't rent them at all? Perfect. So, yeah, thanks to shelter. Maybe we should do a podcast just on shelter. That'd be quite interesting. So, so look, you can work in bursts of energy, okay? And you can build up, like that book, The Slight Edge, where you're building up slowly. I went from swimming, and I'm a terrible, terrible swimmer, but I went from 6 lengths, so I was really out of breath and really struggling, and I'd increase there and back every time I went swimming. And by the end of the month, we're up to like 30, 40 lengths. And I couldn't do 30 or 40 lengths at the start, but now I can. And it's because of that slight edge. So should you be working 24/7 or maybe 18-hour days for the next 12 months? No, I don't think you should, especially if that's not something that you've got used to. If you've been doing that for the last couple of years, then great. That's perfect. And I would question, are you even, and by the way, it depends on what your results are, but if your results aren't great and you've been doing that for a number of years, then you've got to shift what it is that you're actually doing. You've got to change up what your day-to-day focus is likely to be, or what your strategy is going to be, because you're putting in the effort, which is the only thing fundamentally you can really change. You can change the education level that you've got, but you can't change the results. The results come from the amount of work and the amount of education that you've got. Julie's also just saying the table boilers and copper piping. Yes, I've had that too. We've had everything. The best ones were always the cannabis farms. We've had 2 of those now. One costs $7,000, which is actually quite cheap to put back, but it costs $7,000. And what do the council do? They go, oh well, here's another property, go rent that one. I don't even question it. And we phone the police and we're like, yeah, it doesn't matter. We get this all the time. And like, well, what do I do with this big pile of weed? That's, imagine like 50 black bags of cannabis. Or just take it to the skip. Take it to the skip? Yeah, just dump it in the back of my car and go to the skip. What if I get pulled over on the way? Oh, here's my car, just get away with it. Oh, okay, thanks for that. How about I just have a party tonight first and then we'll take it tomorrow? Would that be all right? Yeah, it's fine, do whatever. I just didn't even care. The state of our policing in the UK in 2019, completely undermanned. That's very sexist. Underpersoned. Anyway, so you can't initially set off going, okay, I'm going to put in 18-hour work. It's going to make you ill. It's going to make you stress, and it's going to cause an impact on your relationship with your partner and your kids, if you've got kids. So what I suggest is that you start building up slowly, just gradually building it up. But also, you need time to just go, okay, I'm going to switch my phone off. We're in New York from Saturday for about 5 days. And like, unless the world is ending, I'm likely not to be on my phone listening to crap from tenants. We've got a system in place, and they can go through to the admin team, and then that stuff can get sorted out. And for 5 days, I'll probably be posting anyway. It's just what I do because I enjoy it. But even I'm taking that time out because I need to take that time out. Over these last couple of days, we've recorded 0 podcasts. We've gone live 0 times since Thursday, the last 4 or 5 days. And there's a reason for that, and it's because I can feel it. I'm starting to get tired. And also, we're going through some other stuff with trauma to do with family relationships and so on. So with kids. So that trauma's piling on as well. And it's like, okay, we just need to take some time out, because self-preservation, like in 20 years' time, there's no point in building all this stuff up if you're not around to enjoy it in 20 years' time. And we talk about, I was having lots of conversations with people about male suicide, being the biggest under 45. And it's like, guys, you've got to take that time out. And it's women too, obviously, because suicide is not just a male thing, right? It's women too. So I was reading that more women attempt to take their life, but more men succeed in taking their lives. That's one of the things I read in The Guardian this weekend, which I thought was quite interesting. But you've got to get that time out. You've got to be around in 20 years' time to see your kids growing up and getting married and that kind of thing. But if you're not looking after yourself, and really that's what this is about. This is about you in 20 years looking back going, oh my God, I slugged my guts out for 10 years. And yeah, I've now got the Lamborghini, but I haven't got a wife. a kid to enjoy it with. Like, what's the point? What's the point of having all that? And I was actually about to post something today, and it was a picture of a teacher and a teacher of a dropout. And the dropout had the Lambo, and the teacher had the Ford Cortina or whatever it was. So I was about to post that. And I actually decided not to post that because I've not got a Lambo. And actually, when you start getting wealth, it's not about Lambos and Ferraris anyway. It's about not having to get up and do the work, or doing the work, or pissing off to New York, or just going to the beach all day, or playing on your Xbox all day, or watching Netflix all day. It's about building yourself up to having those choices. And that's really what it should be about. But if you're working 18-hour days, someone said to Grant, and this is one of the arguments, right? So we were talking about this with Action Coach, one of the Action Coaches, and he was like, oh, well, you know, being financially free and being able to wake up and do whatever you want to do. And the person said, well, are you financially free and are you doing whatever you want to do? And he went, well, no. And here's the guy teaching other people how to do it. Like, is Grant Cardone, like, he might be financially free, but has he got time freedom? Like, he loves what he does. So is it even work for Grant? Like, I would say it's not, by the way. It is who he is. Does that make sense? It's not work. And it's like for Gary goes on about, like, Gary Vee believes in hustling, like, all the time. And I just think that's crazy. At some point, you've got to switch everything off and go for a walk on the beach. Or go, okay, I get the Lambo and I get the Ferrari, fine, but I actually want this to be my life. I want to wake up every day and it's sunny. When Ethne came and stayed with us this weekend, she was like, oh, it's a nice day today. We should go to the cafe by the beach. And I'm like, well, we could go tomorrow. Yeah, but it's a nice day today. I'm like, it's a nice day every day. Well, she's come from London. So it's like, it's not raining in Spain. It's sunny every day, more than usual. Like 90% of the time, it's sunny. It rains sometimes and it's cloudy sometimes, but that is our norm. And people just don't get used to it. That's where I decided I wanted to live and I wanted to have that lifestyle. And so I put that work in for a short period of time to push me forward. Now, this is the thing. I remember Jamie Foxx saying this. He said, success comes in waves and you've got to get on that wave and you've got to ride it, but you can't be on it 100% 24/7 because that wave doesn't last. You've got to get off, you've got to recover, and you've got to get the next wave. So the question for you then is, what are the waves that you're riding on right now? And if there are no waves, what are you doing to manage yourself? What are you doing to look after yourself, to make sure that you're going to be there and primed, ready for that next wave? Because I see this so many times. People are ready, they don't get on a wave, and then they spend the money, and then the wave comes along, and they're like, oh, no, I could have invested on that one. It's fine, I'll get the next one. Spend the money, and then the next one, and they're not prepared. You've got to wait for the right wave, and once you see the right wave, you've got to be in a position to get on it, to have the resources available to you, and you ride that wave, and you get to the end. Okay, I think that'll do us for today. We're coming up to 20 minutes. I hope that's useful for you guys. It felt a little bit weird today because I've not done podcasts for a while. And actually, it does take a little bit of time to get back into it. So hopefully we'll be back on the horse tomorrow. But I hope that's useful. I hope you have a wicked day. It's Wednesday. We've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Let's make these next 3 days freaking awesome for your week. And we'll catch up with you in tomorrow's podcast. My name's Dan Latto. Have a great day. Take care. Hey, it's Dan here. Thank you for listening. Really appreciate each and every one of you. Please click like or subscribe to the entire podcast.